someone who is changing the way we look at health and wellness every passing day. Akshay Verma, the co-founder of FitPass.
India as a civilization has always recognized wellness and fitness as a priority. In 2018, for the first time ever in the union budget, the word fitness was mentioned. And 1,200 crores Mr. Jaitley announced the words fitness. Then came the Fit India movement. Then came the Khelo India movement.
What's happening in smaller town India compared to the metros?
So I think smaller town India has a larger set of aspirations.
How were you getting in? What were those initial conversations like?
999, we went viral. We went from 75 gyms to 1,000 gyms in the next 3 months.
During the pandemic and after is where perception changed.
The people who were locked down were not falling sick. Either they wanted to work on their immunity or get fitter. So at that time, there was one aspect of our business which scaled. Unfortunately, the time was so difficult economically.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Let's Chat with GB. Today's podcast is going to be quite a phenomenal one. I have with me an exceptional individual, someone who has fought Lok Sabha elections, someone who has revolutionized the fitness industry, and someone who is changing the way we look at health and wellness every passing day. I have with me Akshay Verma, the co-founder of FitPass, an organization that is changing the way India stays healthy. Akshay, welcome to Let's Chat with GB.
No, thank you very much for having me here. It's a pleasure.
So I believe you were born in Bokaro, and a lot of your time was spent in Bihar, which is also now parts in Jharkhand. So
Yes.
talk me through those early days.
Yeah, so I was born many years ago in Bokaro, that is correct. And my father was in a transferable job. And at that time, he was posted in Kodarma. So I spent time in Kodarma, Gaya, Muzaffarpur, Darbhanga, Patna.
Right.
And then, of course, like every good Bihari boy, I also came to Delhi, studied in Delhi in DPS, Basant Kunj,
Okay.
and then went on to do other things. Yes.
Interesting. I did spend a couple of years in another DPS, but that was Mathura Road. So, but yeah, I did spend a couple of years, there as well myself. And of course, from there you went on and joined the college that everyone dreams of, getting into, which is St. Stephen's.
Yeah.
And that's probably where you said your tryst with fitness and doing something in the space really started. So tell me a little more about that.
Yeah, so I was always a very active person and I used to play sport a lot. So I played football for Delhi State. I played cricket quite actively and quite well, but I did not represent state, but various other levels I played at club, etc. And I think maybe I did not appreciate fitness as much because you'd just been active and your body had become a certain way.
Right.
It is in college first year that I had my first major injury, which is I tore my ACL, which is the anterior cruciate ligament in my left knee.
Right.
And this is 2005, so 20 years ago now.
Right.
And funnily, I've torn it again. And I've just had surgery this year. So after
Same knee again?
Same knee.
Okay.
So back that time in 2005, maybe I used to take my body for granted as if it was God's given gift.
Right.
And I was using it and I never really paid attention to it. But because I was talented, maybe I was not the most hardworking person on the field, but for whatever reason, I kept going. And then the injury happened. And that required, so your knee moves like this, right?
Correct.
So there's two ligaments, ACL, PCL, that hold the knee together. So when you rotate, it's a ball and socket joint, so it shouldn't come out. The ball shouldn't come out of the socket.
Correct.
So when one is gone, then your knee keeps buckling. So they had to cut my hamstring. So you have 3 hamstrings. A lot of people think you only have one, but it's actually 3 hamstrings.
Okay.
They cut one and took that piece and put it as a new ligament.
Right.
Okay. During this period, you get a brace, your knee is straight, then you get to bend 15 degrees, then 30 degrees. Okay, this takes about 9 months of rehab.
Okay.
During this, your entire muscle group gets atrophied. And quadriceps are your largest muscle. Then your calves. And then you've lost your hamstring. People generally, even when you're playing and you're very fit, you still pull your hamstrings. So to have a decent size hamstring, then to get it shortened through surgery, then to ensure it is long enough for you to be able to run. I used to play midfield. A standard midfielder in a 90-minute game runs 17 to 21 kilometers.
Wow.
So that's how much endurance, stamina, strength you need.
Right.
So it is that phase that made me, because I had to rebuild my muscle. So the word strength and conditioning entered my brain space for the first time. Strength because I had to rebuild my muscles. Conditioning because there was a new piece that had been put, but it did not know that it was a ligament. I had to condition it to behave like a ligament. So that process takes time because your neural pathways have to develop. Your body has to accept those screws, that foreign part, make it behave like the way you want it to behave. And it is that rehab protocol that my identity was in question, because all my life I had identified as an athlete. At St. Stephen's also, my admission was through sports quota, through the football quota. So that was who I was. I had always been an athlete, and suddenly I was a patient in recovery, and I did not know if I will be back on the field. Will I have the same tempo, the same vigor? I did not know. And it was a very tough journey, because 2005, the rehab protocols, today physiotherapists are still well known and people have started accepting them, maybe in tier 1, right? Maybe tier 2, tier 3 still doesn't accept a physio or does not respect the role of a physio as much.
Especially in the sports space and sports recovery, which is very specialized.
And if I'm very honest, at that time, I got quite misdiagnosed also, because I used to go to orthopedics, right? Orthopedic is not the same as a sports orthopedic. And recovery, a normal person's recovery is that can they walk, can they climb stairs maybe, and climb. But for a sports person, the recovery means you're much higher, various angles, right? Because you might be in positions where the whole body is on one knee, or it is bent a certain way, or it is angled a certain way. So you need strength in so many nuanced angles and ways, and your balance. Maybe you're going for a header, so your body automatically has to learn how to land. Right? And so the weight, maybe there's somebody in a tackle. So lots of things that you have to be ready for. That sort of protocols were tough to find. So during that phase is when I think, fitness really became important, and then it became a part of my life.
Of course. And were you able to come back and make it to the team?
I was back in 7 months. And people had thought 9, but it was a lot of sweat, blood, tears, worry, identity crisis, all of that. But I had crutches for 3 months. So I wasn't when you're on crutches, then to see that you'll play again it's tough. But I was back. I have a lot of injuries on my left side. So lots of surgeries everywhere. And those had always been easy to come back from. This was a big one because you really had to trust the process. Right? Gains don't come immediately. You've gone from 100 to 0. Now you have to come back. And that process taught me a lot about patience, consistency, showing up. It wasn't that if I did one day of very good workout, didn't mean much, because I had to show up the next day again, start from 0, do my best again. So it taught me a lot about, I think, life, perseverance, coming back.
And important lessons to learn in your late teens, early 20s.
Yeah, and I think that I attribute a lot of that to, if people think we are successful as entrepreneurs and as business now, I think a lot of it comes from the sports field.
Of course. Agree. And I truly believe, you had the holy trinity of education, because you were at Stephens, and then you make your way across to the UK, where you're in Oxford, and then eventually you're in Columbia as well. And I saw one of your farewell, your graduation speech at, your university, Columbia as well. So how did Stephens to, the first jump to Oxford happen for you?
Okay. So these are things you're talking about 2004, which is like 21 years ago. So, I had gone to Stephens, so I always wanted to read economics.
Right.
And I'd met a lot of professors in Delhi University to understand what to do. And now I can say this because everybody told me not to do economics in DU.
Okay.
They told me, if you want to do further economics, do math.
Interesting.
So Stephens was a choice for me because their math program was very good.
Right.
So I'd entered math thinking I want to do economics. So when the time came to apply abroad, at that time, a lot of people used to apply for a second bachelor's program, and it's called the TRIPOS. Okay. So people go from Stephens was set up by Cambridge University, so there is a good relationship they have. A lot of our professors are Oxbridge, so their recommendations count a lot. But the tradition was that you finish your 3-year bachelor's here, and you go do a second bachelor's there. Okay, and that's called a TRIPOS, and you do 2 years only.
Okay.
I didn't have money to do a 2-year program. Okay. So I figured that you miss 100% of the shots you don't make, right?
So true.
So I said, I'll apply for the graduate programs, which is the master's programs. And I couldn't, because I don't come from a family which had that kind of money where you could have done a 2-year program, lived abroad, etc.
Right.
Luckily, I think I was the only guy in India who got admitted in all the master's programs. So Oxford, Cambridge, LSE, Warwick. I
Wow.
also got admitted to their tripos programs. So
Right.
then I think I had the liberty to choose.
Okay.
And because then Oxford gave me some scholarship, and then I went to
Right.
do their financial economics program.
Love it.
And I was the only one, I think, from Stevens itself, and maybe LSR, from our group of friends. I think there were 21 or 22 people who went between these various universities. And only 2 of us took education loans. And now we're married. And everybody else didn't need a loan.
Oh, wow.
Right.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
So that's where you met your future wife.
I actually met her on a train to Jharkhand on a social project. So there was something in 2005.
Okay.
India came out with the NREGA, the National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, now called the Manrega.
Correct.
And 2006, the government wanted to audit it and find out whether the policy is working.
Right.
So across DU, they wanted volunteers. So we volunteered. Then the Planning Commission trained us, etc. And then we went on this trip and the concept was that they wanted to only audit the policy in Naxal affected areas. Because the theory was that if it was performing in the worst areas, it is probably performing everywhere else.
Right.
So we were sent to these back of the beyond places. We went to Latehar in Jharkhand, where we had to verify the field sites, the muster rolls. Sure. And it is on that train ride that I met Arpita.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Super. And then, of course, after you finished your stint in college, you were actually working for UBS in the UK as well for a bit. Yeah. And how long was that stint for?
So that was almost 4 years. So that's continuation of that story. Out of those 22 people who went,
right,
only 2 got jobs.
Yeah.
Because 2007 is when we went.
Financial crisis.
Yes, the crisis. So 2008 saw first Bear Stearns went under. Then in the UK, there was a bank called Northern Rock. They had a run on the bank. Then what was still called CDS, credit default swaps, started widening.
Correct.
Slowly Lehman went bust. Right. So that is the market that we entered. So I entered the job force in July 2008. I graduated June 2008. In July, I was working. And it was a team of 28 people. The team I joined was leveraged finance and private equity.
Okay.
So by December 2008, the team had gone from 28 to 7 people.
Crazy.
Okay, 4 were us analysts who had just joined, and 3 MDs. Right. So everyone between us, which was your EDs, your directors, your VPs, your AVPs, your associates, everybody was gone. So very difficult time, but I think it gave us a sort of learning which we would not have gotten in the good times, because in good times, there'd be so many people and you'd be doing your bucketed amount of work and you might be churning a lot of that. So I would have been great at modeling, but may not be as good as documentation, legal work, structuring, understanding. So the next 4 years gave me a lot of that. So I did deals from $200 million to a $45 billion all cash acquisition. Wow. So I think it was fantastic. I wouldn't change it for a thing, I think, but it was tough. I used to clock at work more than 140 hours in a week. And the week only has 7 times 24. That's 168 hours in a week. Yeah. So if 140 hours at work, that means I had 28 hours in the week to travel home, to rest, to do my laundry, to clean my house, to read, to get fit, to whatever I wanted to do for myself.
That's got to take a toll on you. For
yes.
Sure, right? Yes. And was that part of the reason why you also then decided to head to New York and do your further studies at Columbia?
No, the work-life balance per se wasn't my concern, because I think I was learning a lot and I was still managing to be active. I also played cricket for Oxford. So if you ever go there is a board which has Nawab Pataudi's name, Imran Khan's name, also has my name. So I was still playing for the alumni team. I was still playing. And recreationally, London had a lot of sports. So 6-a-side football, even if it was with our clients or with the lawyers or with other funds like the Blackstones of the world's KKR. So there was always activity. So that wasn't a big concern for me. What was happening was I did this one deal, which was a big mining giant called Rio Tinto, which is listed everywhere, Australia, LSE, New York Stock Exchange. We advised them and we worked with them to do a to acquire Potash, which was a Canadian listed asset. It was a $45 billion all cash deal. Now, nobody has $45 billion, right? Even a bank doesn't have it. And especially an investment bank where you have no deposits. So we borrow and then we lend and then we de-risk. So that deal was, now because two listed entities, lots of regulation, black boxes, right? So 15, 20 days were amazing, right? Like I learned a lot. It was adrenaline and everything you see in movies about banking life was there, right? And the celebrations, the champagnes, the private jets, everything. But I never saw what $45 billion looked like, right? I didn't know whether it would fill my room, whether it would fill my taxi. Like, what does it look like? It came on my computer and it left. I didn't know whose life got better, whose got worse. So these existential questions started to come, and I began to think that, okay, I was 21 when I got to Oxford. I was the youngest in my class, or maybe the third youngest in my class. I joined the workforce at 22. Everybody else was a year ahead of me, year older or 2 years older because they had taken gap years, traveled the world. Right? And I was running because that's how we were raised. I was on this Ascent program that UBS had. It was called the Ascent program, which meant you're on fast track to be MD, and then you have these guaranteed bonuses, etc. So I was what you really wanted to be, right? But it kept occurring to me that at 34, I'd make MD. What do I do from 34 to 60? Right? Interesting. Then it kept occurring to me that I am at UBS, a bulge bracket investment bank, but there are 20 more like me. Then there are mid-tier banks, tier 3 banks, and everybody has various teams, which each team may have 5 to 7 MDs, right? So overall, I'm just one more MD in one more industry, and where do I translate my skills? What do I do? So, and this I was 27 or something. So these existential questions started happening. Then I was like, what do I do? So I really wanted to, there used to be a company, I don't know if it is there now, SOTC. It was a travel company. They had a £4,000 ticket that you could buy and travel the world for a year. 100 destinations, 110 destinations. You have to pick whether you go east to west or west to east. And you could choose 100 places where you get off and you get on. That's what I really wanted to do. But that is not something that my parents could have accepted, society could have accepted. So the other way was to improve myself, to study again. Now, what do you study? I had already done math, economics. I was already in private equity. This is what people used to go to MBA to do. I was already recruiting from Harvard, Columbia, Oxford, whatever. And I was getting these MBAs to do this job. If I wanted to move a job, I could have gone from banking to anything. So MBA wasn't making sense. But at that time, policy started becoming important in the world. Even the financial sector started getting regulated, the Dodd-Noble regulations had come. And policy is something I did not understand. My life had been math, economics, which was all black and white. Right? Policy meant gray. Right? Stakeholder management, consensus building, all of that things that you don't know, I don't understand. It didn't understand. So I thought, let me do policy. So I applied to Harvard, Columbia. I got in both. Columbia gave me a bigger scholarship. And then I thought that, now I'm being very honest here, may sound a bit privileged, but I'd been to Oxford, which is a small town, right? A small university town. I didn't want to do that again in Boston. So I thought New York is where, if I had to be in policy, the UN is in New York, the financial center is New York, the exposure would be different. So then I chose Columbia and I went there, and luckily I became president of the student government. So that is how. So I wanted to learn a different side. And then in my head, I thought, one thing, I don't say it publicly, but I think we're getting comfortable here. MBA, I thought, taught you how to run a company of 500 people. MPA, Masters in Public Administration, I thought would teach me to run a country of 1.4 billion people. So that was the reason that I chose the MPA.
Fantastic. I think that's so powerful. MBA, company of 500 or 5,000. MPA, run a country, right? We might be sitting here with a future prime minister, who knows. So I love that, actually. And the amazing part is that you've got all this. You're on the fast track, absolutely crushing it. And then you take a call to come back to India, right? What actually triggered that?
I think destiny, because there was no plan to come back to India. Arpita, my wife now, she was still in London. She was also an investment banker with Barclays. They had bought Lehman. Lehman Brothers American assets. So she was hoping to transfer to America, and then we had to be there. But there, I don't know if you read the news at that time or not, but Lehman had one hidden column in their SPV Excels, which were most of the toxic assets, which Barclays did not know at that time. So the deal wasn't progressing as fast, or it didn't turn out to be as lucrative as everybody wanted. So her transfer wasn't possible. I was going to join UBS New York again after my degree, because that's all I knew. And then, but UBS New York was also not having a good time. And suddenly Arpita was still in London, so I had to move back to London. So while I was working this out with UBS gave me an option that, because it's not good times everywhere, we can't give you the guaranteed bonus. Okay. Wow. So, but if you take a sabbatical, we'll pay you. Okay. So don't show up to work and get paid for the whole year. Okay. So I said that was a great option for me. I haven't been home in 10 years like this. So I took that sabbatical and I came back home with no intention of starting out or staying here. And I actually went back to my village, which is in Darbhanga. And I did many things there over the next year. FitPass came a year after that, actually.
So this 2014-ish.
Yes.
Okay. So FitPass. Now we're talking about 2014. I know you officially launched maybe about a year later.
15.
So how did that journey actually begin? What were the early days like? And your sister and you started the company.
Yeah.
So what were those early days like?
So I was still figuring out what to do now that I'd chosen to stay back. And my sister was with the World Bank at that time. And she'd also studied abroad in London and DU, etc. It had started the problem. We had identified the problem in our personal lives a little early. It was just that we chose to solve it after a year. So when I'd come back, I trained all my life in Delhi, right? Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium, City Fort. I knew all of it. But now I'd seen a different world. I'd come back, and if I wanted a gym membership, and I knew I was here for a small period of time, right? I wasn't here for the whole year or whatever. So if you wanted a gym membership, they wanted you to pay for the whole year, right? And I was like, boss, I go to the same hairdresser for the last 20 years. He has never told me to pay for the whole year, right? Nobody in my consumption basket, not my landlord, not my grocer, not my utilities, not my cable, nobody tells me to pay for the whole year and then hopes that I don't use you.
Agreed.
Right?
Agreed.
So this was one thing that was really bothering me, that this is one industry where the consumer is not the king, right? And the supply side is behaving as if they can function without consumer enjoying their experience, right? Because usually in every other industry, you'll see suppliers or vendors or whoever, the supply side, welcoming customers. Here, the gyms would have a bouncer. Right? They didn't want you to enter. When you entered, there was so much friction, right? It's as if, so this whole thing, I wouldn't understand fully, and it really bothered me. Right. But I had not chosen to solve it. Arushi hadn't chosen to solve it. So we were like, it is what it is. But now, because I'd also seen a different world, I knew I couldn't do only strength training the whole time. Right? I couldn't just go to the gym and keep lifting weights. In India, CrossFit had picked up, Reebok, CrossFit, etc. was already popular. Correct. So I also wanted to do some CrossFit, some functional training, some plyometrics, some jumps, whatever. Right. So that meant I needed a second membership. Yeah. So I paid 25,000 to a gym, which is also not a full stack gym. No. Then I paid 20,000 or 25,000 to a CrossFit studio. So 50,000 a year. That is, then we started looking at data that, okay, average age of India at that time in 2015 was 26. Today we're 28, 29 or 25, 26 it was. Yeah. The average income was 25,000.
And you're being asked to pay 25,000 for just a subscription.
So okay. Yeah. So then you're telling me that the gyms are empty. And then what was happening at the gym side? Everybody would open it. They would talk about how much they invested in opening up a center. Right. 3 years later, they had a very different story. Right? Either they would flip or not work, shut it down. So what was their problem? Their problem was they did not get enough members. What was the member side problem? That they did not have it at the right price point. Because if you're earning 25,000, let us say even if you're earning 30, 40, 50,000, you have to pay your rent, pay your tax, go for a movie, go on a date, buy fast fashion, go to Starbucks, and get fit. Right? You can't remove everything else from your life and then only have a fitness wallet. So I have to fit your wallet share, whether or not I like it. Yep. That is the wallet share. So if you don't solve for it, then both the sides are only standing at the gate, but he's not coming in and you're not able to welcome him in. So that is when we decided that, and Arushi had her own experience that she loved to mix workouts. So dance was one thing that she really liked. Yoga was one thing she really liked. So dance studio separately, yoga studio separately, and a gym separately. That's 3 memberships. And even though she was at the World Bank and earning well, didn't mean that you could still spend 30, 40,000
across all of these in different places.
Yeah.
And this is a situation that was unique primarily to India, right? Because with your exposure to the US and the UK, you'd have seen that over there, such a situation didn't exist. You could take shorter term memberships.
Yes.
You could do a whole bunch of activities that could be clubbed together at
absolutely
clubs
and
as well.
So 2-3 things were happening abroad, right? One is people think that culturally the West is more predisposed to fitness, which I disagree with. Okay. Culturally, the West is more accessible for fitness. Yes. Okay, the sports infrastructures are there, outdoor parks are there, pollution is not a problem, weather is okay. And also gyms and fitness centers, I think, are more or were more business savvy. In India, initially in 2015, etc., gyms were mostly set up as second or third businesses by somebody.
Okay.
They were not entrepreneurs whose only focus was the gym, right? They might have had a real estate business or something else, and then they had a gym.
Yeah.
So as a secondary, tertiary business, it would never get the same amount of focus or dedication or love for the customer as needed to grow a business, grow an industry. One was that. Second, here because they were unutilized in India, even today, I think gyms barely operate at 30% utilization.
Not surprised.
Yeah. So because they were unutilized, they would price themselves incorrectly. So the whole focus was selling yearly membership. So they would price it so inefficiently that a day pass would be prohibitively expensive because they wanted to push you as a customer to buy the year.
Correct.
The month, if you took the monthly membership and times that by 12 as a year, it would be 4 times or 5 times what their annual subscription plan is.
Correct.
Right? This is not what the West was. West was pro rata. The pricing was okay.
Right.
Because they wanted you to come in, because they understood the more people, you actually make money when people use you. You don't make money when you hope that people pay you once and then never come back. Because in India, the biggest problem gyms had was retention. And that is where we really had to step in and explain to them that, guys, everybody thinks that revenue is 25,000 for a member. What you really have to understand is what does it cost you to get that 25,000? And that nobody had done. And I think in 2015, when we started, Paytm, etc., were digitizing kirana stores.
Correct.
Ola and Uber and Ola were digitizing taxis, but nobody had taken the internet to the fitness world. And when we went, first we had to convince the bouncer that why we have come. If we're not members, why are we at the gym? Then he got convinced. Only then we'd meet the manager. And if the manager got convinced, then we'd meet the Bauji who owns the gym. So it wasn't the easiest, because at least with kirana stores and taxi operators, you were meeting
access to the key stakeholders.
Right.
And I'm sure initially, because also going back to those times, I'd also seen that people were opening gyms because jagah padi hui hai, chalo equipment le aate hain, right? So it almost became like, I've got this space, and I think if I just bring in some equipment and I put up some signage outside, people will come and I can make some money off. And like you mentioned, like a lot of people sign up for gym memberships closer to the end of the year, when it's Christmas, New Year's, and it's resolution time. And probably by the 15th of January, you've had a large percentage of people who are actually dropping off and are, lost the habit of even coming back. So it was probably, easy money, or at least perceived as easy money for someone who just, open it up. But the model was broken, like you said. Yeah. So how do you get past that? Like when you had this hurdle and obstacle, no one knew who FitPass was. No one knew you and your sister. How were you getting in? What were those initial conversations like? And were there a lot of skeptics, in the early days as well?
I think skeptics still exist, right? Like at that time, yes, everybody was a skeptic. Even anybody, any auntie you met at the shadi also was a skeptic, because fitness as a concept. Okay, 2015, what was happening? India was solving roti, kapda, makan literally at that time. Right. Okay, like roti mein there was, now Swiggy and Zomato are big. But that time they had just started. So Swiggy, Zomato, Fasos, Tiny Owl, Food Panda. Right. There are a bunch of players that don't exist anymore. But India was trying to figure out who will solve this. Kapda, there was Myntra, Jabong. I'm forgetting some Rocket Internet. All of those guys. Makan mein there was Makan, Common Floor, Housing, 99 Acres. Okay, bunch of these guys. Uske beech mein we had come and said that we're going to solve for fitness.
Right.
So India had not solved basic e-commerce right now. Logistics had not been sorted,
Right.
transport, mobility.
Right.
And then everybody anyways perceived fitness to be a luxury item. It was us who always we kept thinking that as a young nation, you only have some time till you're young and till you're fit. After that, you become a sick nation. So we always thought that fitness is an evergreen thesis, and there is just no data point that changes it. Yeah. But yes, okay, we understand that because we're a developing country, our priorities are different, but this has to become national priority at some point. Okay. That we believed forever. That is the belief that we faced many challenges and we kept going because we knew that this just has to take shape at some point. So you have to be around. So that time everybody was a skeptic. Yeah. When you went to the gym, they didn't understand the model. Right now you couldn't. That time Airbnb and Uber weren't so famous that you could go and be like, oh guys, we're like Uber for gyms, no, we're like Airbnb for gyms, no. You couldn't explain.
No concept of
so you really had to explain CAC to them, retention to them, what our value was, move the conversation from revenue per member to profit per member. So that took us some time. And initially, it took us a year to launch the product. Right. And it wasn't just it was just random that we said, okay, we'll make a buffet. We started seeing patterns in India. Correct. When people go to eat in a restaurant, you know you're going to eat naan, shahi paneer, dal makhani, raita, and jalebi. Right. But if I give you the option, you don't order a la carte of the menu. You want to pick up a thali. Right. Because you want the option of having anything and everything. Correct. Okay. Then we started seeing that Amazon in India was saying 2 crore products in my portfolio. Okay. Meri dukaan, sabse badi dukaan. Correct. In the UK, it would say best products delivered tomorrow. Their core proposition. Correct. But here they were empowering you with choice, not with the core proposition that they have selected a great set of sellers. They are sure that they're good products and they will be delivered. That is not what they're telling you. They're telling you they have 2 crore products. You as a person will never go through 2 crore products. But they're trying to tell you how vast they are and how much choice you have. Uber in India, Uber in the West, in the UK was saying at that time, pick you up anywhere in 3 minutes. Okay. Here they were saying 70,000 cars in my fleet. Yeah. So we started understanding the Indian consumer that what they need is to be truly made king, be empowered with choice, with flexibility, with accessibility, with anything they want to do cannot be rigid. Yeah. Right? And all of that decision-making power should be with them, which is correct. That is how economically it should be. Right. So we had to build this model where the experience that the consumer got would determine whether they go back to the gym, don't go back to the gym, what they want to try. And India was waking up to fitness. So they also wanted to try different things. Not everybody knew what CrossFit meant or what rock climbing could mean. So they had to be exposed also. So this took us some time to figure out that there'll be one membership to anything and everything. Then pricing had to be sorted. People would tell us that people work out 30 days a month, 25 days a month. This intuitively did not make sense to me because elite athletes also don't work out 30 days a month. You cannot, your body won't. And then if you're not recovering, you're not resting, then now everybody's talking about it, but I'm talking to you about 10 years ago. Yeah. And then there's a company called Aon Hewitt. Now, I think that time they were just called Hewitt. Right. Okay. We had some friends there. We got some HR data out of them. And we saw that, okay, in a month, there are 22 working days. Okay. 3 days are ELCL. Okay. Right. And 1 or 2 days employees randomly don't show up. So where they're earning, they barely come 15 days a month. So why will they go work out 30 days a month? Sure. If it has to be a consistent life habit, you might have months where you're doing it really well, but then there'll be ebbs and flows and troughs. Right. So pricing had to be done in a way that in our mind, it had to be so accessible that the consumer feels that they are getting, their wallet is getting rewarded and you're not looting them. Right. So we thought Uber takes you on a ride for 100 rupees. Food gets delivered to you for 100 rupees. So your workout can't cost you more than 100 rupees a workout. But the gym partners, because we started only in South Delhi with 75 gyms, Gold Gym East of Kailash was our first partner, Ozone, because obviously you wanted the best assets. They really scared us, and we were like, okay, you've been around for a longer time.
So prime properties, because Ozone used to be Def Call Main Road. And,
right? And there was more Olympia. I'm forgetting. So there were I'm forgetting. There's There's some Pilates studios there, Namrata Purohit studio. So Studio 60 by Zoe Collington.
Right.
So all of these. So we were just in that GK, East of Kailash area, the 75 gyms in South Delhi, because that's where we had started. But everybody told us people work out a lot. Our conviction was that if we have to make it a lifestyle, it has to fit your lifestyle,
Sure.
which means that if you're working out 3 times a week, so you're doing 10 to 12 workouts, that's great. We started looking at data abroad. In the West, people work out in the US 4.12 times a month. In Europe, 4.17 times a month.
No way.
Yes. Okay. They might be running or swimming or doing some sports after that. So you could say 6 to 8 times a month.
Right.
If you're doing that consistently, you are somebody who's fit, right? Yeah. You're not an elite athlete, but you're somebody who is functionally very fit and strong. Okay. Suddenly, to assume that everybody would work out 15, 20 times was not possible. But because we got scared, we priced it a certain way. So we came out at $24.99 a month.
You've kind of maintained that pricing even till date.
That's what I'm going to share with you. So $24.99 a month. And we came out in September 2015, only on a single web page. There were 4 of us in the team. We're still there, all of us. And we sold some passes in September. And people are working out 8 to 10 times a month. Okay. In October, we were seeing that people loved the product but were not renewing. Same problem as the gym, because we'd heard the gym and how to price.
Correct.
So if you were working out 8 times at 2,500 rupees, you were paying 325 rupees a workout. That is way more expensive for you. Right? We had to bring it to 100.
Right.
But what happened was we got a bunch of people who copied us immediately. So we had 19 copycats by October. Okay. And I can't remember the names: Fitness Panda, Fitness Passport, Oyo Fit, Class Hop, Flexi Pass, Fit Ticket, Class Verse. A bunch of them, some of them had my name in their terms and conditions as the grievance officer. Could just copy pasted and put it
off your website and put all that crazy.
But they had priced it. They priced it the same way as us.
Right.
Now the only difference was that we had actually taken a year to price ourselves. So we had gone bottom up.
Right.
They had priced it, okay, we can charge $24.99. What can we share with the gyms? Okay. So their cost structure was based top down. Ours was built and then we had some room here.
Correct.
So we realized that once they had come, we had to now change the game. But we knew the model would work because people were loving it. They were not renewing it, but did not mean that they weren't coming in to buy.
Right.
So pricing was wrong, but the model was okay. So we went from 75 gyms to 1,000 gyms in the next 3 months. And on 1st of January 2016, we launched that app and we said 1,000 plus gyms in Delhi at $999. And at $999, we went viral. And at $999, when you did 10 workouts, you were 100 rupees.
Under 100 rupees.
And then we started growing like there was no tomorrow. And then the competition ended. And it took us a long time to end the competition, I think. But unfortunately, then GST came. Demonetization came first.
Right.
Then the GST came. Yeah. Then COVID came.
Yeah, no, of course. And so amongst those 17, early competitors that were there, any of them still around today? Or?
No.
Amazing. So pretty much, wiped out everyone.
So, a lot of people tell us now that you had the first mover advantage. And I keep telling them that in the army, the first one through the door gets shot.
So true.
Right? So it's very easy to look. Yes, it is true that we were the first movers, but it also meant there was no playbook to follow.
Correct.
We had to create the playbook, we had to educate the market, and then we had to monetize the market. And this is quite evident in India. Like Flipkart probably had the longest journey.
Okay.
But say a Snapdeal became of that high valuation within 3 years because somebody had built the roadmap. You can make it more efficient and you can do a better job at it. But the guy who's doing it first definitely has a tougher journey.
For sure. And you're right. And, I love the story where you mentioned that, the first person to the door normally gets shot. And even globally, if you take a look at, some very successful, products. I mean, take, even Steve Jobs and, the iPod when it came out. It wasn't him who founded it, right? There was someone else who actually done it earlier. They just kind of modified
iterated,
that, right? And it kind of worked. So I totally get how, you said that there was no playbook and that can be so challenging. And it's commendable that despite that, today you're in a space, where you actually are. So, and coming back to the 2499 piece, so it's also a price that you've maintained over time because today, I mean, of course, you had the 999 dip that you did, but 2499 is still, I think, one of the pricing that you start with on your site.
Yeah. So we do, but now we've so as we grew, our understanding of fitness, the science behind it, all of it also grew.
Right.
So what had started as only a membership to fitness centers
Right.
has now evolved to a super membership where we understand that exercise and nutrition have to go hand in hand.
Right.
You can't look at them in isolation.
No.
And you may, in your mind or in your views, think that you value diet more.
Right.
But what we've started seeing, and lots of evidence for it, is that though you start with diet, as you get consistent with that,
Right.
you automatically move towards being active. So you want activity.
Yeah.
So either you want a gym membership or you want training at home, whatever, but you start getting active.
Right. Right.
Or even if you're somebody who only thinks you only like exercise and you don't care about what you eat, the moment you become consistent with activity, you start wondering as to what I should eat.
Yeah.
Okay. And instead of solving them separately later with 2 different apps or 3 different providers,
Right.
we understood that this had to be combined.
And we ecosystem for your consumers.
So today in $24.99, I think the price is $2,999 per month. You get access to 8,100 gyms and fitness centers. So it does work out where you want. So close to home, close to office, if you're traveling, how you want. So gym, yoga, Pilates, Zumba, Krav Maga, CrossFit, mixed martial art, rock climbing, swimming, now sports also. So anything that keeps you active. Also get access to expert nutritionists. So people who will design your daily meals, you fill out an HRA. We know if you share whether you have any allergies, whether you have any medication. So your meal plans are getting designed basis your activity levels. And it doesn't matter where you start. You may say, I don't want to do any activity, but even then you just start with nutrition and then activity gets blended in. Then our AI coach, which is Fit Coach, I think, which her name is Arya. She should be the largest player in the world, maybe. She coaches 7 to 8 lakh people a month. Okay, I don't think any trainer has trained maybe 1,000 people in their lifetime. Right? She coaches 7 to 8 lakh people a month. And then there is unlimited access to doctors for consultations. So 17 specialties, whether it's a GP, an orthopedic, a neurologist, gynecologist, health checkup vouchers, free pharma delivery.
And so all of this is happening in 2,999.
Yes. So everything you need to be fit and feel well throughout your journey, because you might have different phases where you're very active, only diet, sometimes you fall sick, you want to get better, want to know your baseline. Everything is just one place. And all that data feeds into each other and keeps encouraging you to do better every day.
Love that. How do you maintain, let's say, quality standards? Because sometimes, there are, providers who come in and they've offered, consultations, but when they try and actually, line them up, either the person's not available on the other side, or there are certain gaps, that kind of come up in the deliverables. How do you manage quality standards?
So for the fitness centers, there is a whole team. So there is a 134-point checklist that our fitness centers must meet before they get onboarded. So that will range from how big it is and small things like how many ACs per square feet, to whether they have valet, whether they have parking, to education level of the trainers, to education level of the promoters, to when the equipment was purchased, how many, do they have an AMC contract? So there's 134 points that looks at everything, wet areas, do they give towels, not. So everything. So that is what helps us maintain the fitness center side.
And is there a minimum out of those 134 that someone has to check off before they become?
I think now the network teams, Arushi looks at this, but now I think they've become very specific that all 134 has to be met. Oh, wow. And I don't think there are any fitness centers in our network that would be below a 25,000 annual membership themselves. So I think that is where most of the market is. So any of the big names that would be around 25,000 a year. And this is when they sell, not what they market themselves at. They are 40,000, but when you go there, they sell at 25. So whoever is in that 20-25 range, so that's the kind of quality we already have. So I don't think my network team goes below that to acquire them. Yes, standalone studios are different. Right? A yoga studio may not be a 25,000 a year thing, but they have different requirements. Yes.
Got it. Yeah. You said you had a wait list now almost of 2,000 centers that are looking to sign up with you guys. And of course, I'm sure the due diligence is on, and which is why it's taking time with 8,100 establishments already there.
Yeah.
Do you also have to decline a lot of people when they come on because they're not meeting a lot of these standards for this time being?
So I don't think so. We're a network. We only can exist if the network trusts us and believes us. So I don't think we ever decline, but we definitely try to guide them in the right way. as to where we're not able to support them and how we can improve together so that we can support them.
Correct.
But yes, we're definitely very strict as to, because ultimately the consumer needs to have a good experience, because if they don't have a good experience,
Of course.
then everything is based on trust, right? The consumer trusts us to deliver a promise.
Correct.
We trust the partner to deliver the promise.
Correct.
So there's transitivity. So if anything breaks, then the whole chain breaks.
Yeah.
So we have to be careful both sides. So hence we're a little more deliberate in onboarding people.
Got it. And how many active users are on the platform now?
So we have a community of more than 6 million Fitsters. So we call them Fitsters.
Right.
And I think on a daily basis, more than 112,000 people work out through us.
Fantastic. And this is across the country now. How many
Yes,
cities are you?
130
cities.
130 where people are actively working out.
Now you're seeing more attention in smaller towns compared to tier one, or is it not? I'm sure you've studied a lot of data, with your background. But any insights on what's happening in smaller town India compared to the metros?
So I think smaller town India has a larger set of aspiration, and truly that is where people value products. And if you let's not go too small, but let's say Jaipur or Ahmedabad,
Correct.
people there are stickier with the program. They work out more. So I think my tier one people work out about 8 to 9 times a month.
Right.
But please note, this is 2x what the global average is. So everybody who thought Indians don't want to get fit were wrong. It was like literally saying that, before Deccan game,
Right.
if you evaluated the airline market,
Yeah.
people would think there is not a big airline market and everybody loves to take the Rajdhani.
Agreed.
But the moment Deccan came and changed the game, all of the Rajdhani second AC2, AC3 went
Move to
there,
low-cost airlines.
right? And suddenly you had a market.
Right.
Because fitness was not accessible,
Yeah.
you thought the gyms were empty. The moment it became accessible and affordable, suddenly Indians are working out 2x what the global average is.
Amazing.
So this is what the tier one looks like.
Yeah.
But the moment you get to Jaipur, Ahmedabad, Chandigarh, these places, people are working out 12 to 13 times a month, so which is 3 times a week. So their usage is more. Now it could be for various reasons that cities are smaller, so centers are closer, or their work-life balance is better, and
Correct.
tier one has more distractions for you,
Yeah.
whatever the reason. But truly, it is tier two that is using the services far more.
Amazing. And let's say trends, if you look at national trends, and again, if you were to divide the country into north, south, east, west, to your mind, which part of the country is the most health conscious and also into the consistency? So amongst the 4 regions, which one would you say is probably setting the bar?
I think both west and north, because a lot of large cities are here,
Right.
and but it is south is not far behind, and east might be a bit slow. But yeah, definitely north and west.
Is there anything that surprised you that, okay, wow, this is something I never thought would happen, in this entire FitPass journey? And when you started getting in all your customer data and started studying a lot of that, is there something that blew your mind saying that I did not see that coming?
I think we have been very good at shaping a lot of things and preempting a lot of things, because so I think a few things that we have made happen that may have shocked other people as to how it happened.
Okay.
So one was changing regulation to allow for fitness to be recognized under health insurance.
Right.
Okay. Usually to change regulation, people believe you need a lot of money, VC capital or a team to lobby a team. We did it alone because we always believed our ask was so intuitive that do you want to run a country that has sick people or healthy people? So no decision maker would ever say they want their population to be unhealthy.
Correct.
What was needed was an action plan. How do you make them healthy?
Yeah.
We had started working with the government in 2017. So I understood, obviously the MPA also helped.
Right.
But when we had started, we understood that ultimately we had to drive behavior change.
Sure.
Right? Because we were solving roti kapda makan, we had to make fitness a national priority.
Correct.
In a country like ours, the biggest stakeholder is the government.
Mm.
Okay. So we used to write letters to the government always. Okay. When we started, when we were a nobody, today also maybe we are a nobody, but we used to write.
Yeah.
Okay. Whether we get a reply or not, was it relevant? We wrote. 2 years of writing letters to the government. In 2017, we got an invite from the then Finance Minister, Honorable Mr. Arun Jaitley,
Right.
for a pre-budget consultation meeting. Okay. And they meet all these industry leaders, and in that meeting, I think next to me was Baba Kalyani from Bharat Forge, there was Sunil Mittal, there was all these leaders from like titans from various industries, and there was Akshay Verma for fitness. Fitness was not even a recognized industry, right? Yet we were there. At that table, I represented, and then in that meeting was the finance minister, Arvind Subramaniam, who was the chief economic advisor at that time, a lot of bureaucrats who were very important, the GST council, the revenue secretary, the finance secretary. So everybody. So at that time, India had a rule that if you bought medicines up to 30,000 rupees, you could deduct it from your taxable income. So I represented that we're incentivizing the country to fall sick, that please buy medicines, please save tax. What you had to say was, please be fit, please be a positive contributor to our economy, and then save tax. So they heard it, they loved it, lots of pats on the back, lots of clapping. But what do you do with it? Right? So in 2018, for the first time ever in the union budget, the word fitness was mentioned. And 1,200 crores Mr. Jaitley announced towards fitness. Even today, fitness is not a recognized industry. Okay. But we got budget for it. Then came the Fit India movement. Then came the Khelo India movement. Things that we were pushing because the narrative had to change. Through this phase, we were also looking to get tax incentives for people who bought fitness membership. We realized it was very tough because too many departments, exchequer cost. So we realized insurance was one part. So then we started writing to the regulator, which is IRDAI. And we wrote to them that, you're called Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India. As a regulator, you're absolutely wonderful. But as a development authority to develop the market, I think there are a few steps we can take. And obviously, we used to explain our position that at that time, and I think the data is the same today, average age of the insurance buyer in the country is 36. 2/3 of the country is below 35. So what is happening is the guy who needs health insurance or who is more likely to claim on a health insurance is the one who buys. This is called adverse selection. So they buy, which is evident because most of your standalone health insurance companies, as the Sahis as they're called, are in underwriting losses. So only those buy who need it. Because they use it a lot, next year you increase premiums. So you further alienate people who could have bought it, who you wanted in the net. So you're in this cycle of unaffordability. Second, 2/3 of the country is anyways not buying you. Thirdly, you're saying that you need to acquire the younger guys. So either you say that you are not a health insurance because in all honesty, you don't care about my health. You only care whether the hospital's bill is paid or not. Right? And if they release me from the hospital bed, now whether I'm transferred to my own bed or whether I'm walking, whether I'm able to run again, you do not care. So do not call it health insurance. So this sort of conversation started. We were young, we were boisterous.
How was that received from the industry?
So again, because it was so intuitive, they would be like, yes. But no data was there to show whether the claim ratios would decrease, what would happen. So we had to keep doing a lot of studies. So the regulator came out with something called a sandbox. We did multiple sandboxes. We got fantastic results. But 2018, we kept doing it. 2019, we kept doing it. 2020 came COVID. Now, it didn't matter how much money you had, what position you commanded in society. If you contracted COVID, the doctor was asking you, do you have a comorbidity? That was a tough time for everybody. And comorbidities were what? Obesity, hypertension, diabetes, preventable lifestyle diseases. So preventable by what? By exercise and nutrition. There is no other way. This we had been saying. We had been talking about India's demographic dividend. We had written all these letters. We had made these presentations. We had met everybody. That the demographic dividend, every platform globally that we go to, we talk about India is the biggest market. We have the youth. They will grow, disposable income will grow, we will buy more, we will produce more. But if you fall sick, then you don't buy consumer goods. Sick people don't buy iPhones. Right? They buy medicines. So you need to, today you're taking it for granted because you're 26 as an average age, today you're 28. Yet you are the world's diabetic capital, world's hypertensive capital, world's obesity capital. And this is when 2/3 of the population is below 35. What will happen in 10 years from now when everybody is above 35? Then if you become sick, then your story is over. Right? We were saying this, everybody would agree, but we didn't know what to do.
And the pandemic was a wake-up call in a way.
And then on 4th of September 2020, so we went into lockdown on March 2020.
Yep.
Smack in the middle of COVID, when nobody knows when we're going to open, what government notifies that fitness services, access to gyms, sports centers, nutrition will be included as part of health insurance. And on 4th of September 2020, we reopened in November 21.
Yeah, almost a year after. More than a year after. Yeah.
But the government finally understood. The notification came. So this was a surprise to a lot of people as to how. Second surprise I think the world got was we lowered GST from initially when 2017 GST had come. Okay.
We were the highest slab of 28%.
Yes, because they said, the reasoning that was given to us was that because gyms have ACs, so it's a luxury good.
I heard about that.
Yeah. It was shocking. 2017, we had just met the finance minister. We had just explained that fitness is important, and yet this regulation had come. So we went, we represented, because before that was service tax, which is a 15% regime. Suddenly it gone 28%, 13% costed increase. Who was going to bear it in an industry where gyms were already suffering? Consumers already didn't want to pay.
Correct.
So who was going to bear it?
Yep.
So we sorted it out. We got it to 18. Still, it was 3% more expensive. Yeah. Then we had kept engaging with them. And finally today, on 15th of August,
Correct.
the Prime Minister,
spoke,
at the Red Fort, he said that obesity is a problem. Right? Now, a lot of people think that, the government the Prime Minister has many priority items, right? Somebody must be pushing fitness.
Yep.
And that people don't understand is there is no industry, there is no lobby, it is only us. And we've always believed that until the government becomes a party to this, behavior doesn't change. So luckily, this government has been all ears and has been proactive. But to bring it to that stage took a lot of effort. And then finally, there is a team called TPRU, okay, in the finance ministry called Tax Policy Research Unit. You don't randomly decide where to lower tax and where to increase tax, right? A lot of data goes into it. 2 years. So the GST reforms were actually announced in 2024.
Right.
What the reforms are going to be were announced in 2025 after 16 months of deliberation, right? And it affects all the states. There's a governing body of ministers. Right? So TPRU and we worked together for 2 years. We kept submitting data of how it impacts. Lancet, that we know, published a study that if Indians were to become active, so today 1 in 2 Indians are physically inactive. What does that mean? Half the population, half the population of the world's youngest workforce, world's youngest population is inactive. Means they don't even do 150 minutes of exercise in a week. 150 minutes is 2.5 hours. Out of 168 hours, they're not doing anything. We are chronically inactive means you are sitting more than 6 hours. If you seriously think about our workforce, they're sitting at work for 8 hours. They come in a taxi or whatever, sitting. They go home, they eat their breakfast or their dinner sitting. They watch TV sitting. Then they're horizontal sleeping. There is zero activity. We are chronically inactive, which is why you see cardiovascular risks 10 years ahead of time in India. You see metabolic disorder. All of this, the prevention is only movement and nutrition. So all of this we explained. Then Lancet said that if Indians became active, you add 15 lakh crore. 15 lakh crore is a big number. 15, then 5 zeros, then 7 more zeros. Annually to your GDP. Just if Indians became active. Okay. Plus you save on your healthcare costs. Okay. Your expenditure. So you benefit as an individual, as for your family, plus for society and your country.
It's win-win for everybody.
Everybody, right? So this sort of information we had to keep giving to TPRU, then do more studies. And then finally the government said, okay, we will reduce it from 18% to 5%. So these two things happened without us we're not the biggest brand that you know. Right? But we have always believed that we're a mission-driven company. So everything we do need not impact only FitPass. It has to nurture a whole industry. So everything that we've pushed, we've always recognized government as an important player, an important person to help in bringing behavior change, setting the narrative. So we've always worked with them. It's not suddenly that it happens.
Amazing.
Right?
And so much of this boils down to your time at Columbia and the MPA and all of that you did as well. But it's amazing that it took all those years. And like I said, 2017 is when you pretty much started pushing, government towards, policy, and it's amazing at how much goes on behind the scenes. One would just think that the ministry decided, "Acha, chalo kar do," bring it down from 18 to 5, but there's a lot of work that went on behind the scenes.
Yeah, because they have to figure out whether it's a loss to revenue to the government, not, and like if they lose this, then where do they gain? And states have to agree. Everybody has to agree. Everybody has to agree.
Yeah. Fantastic. And of course, like you mentioned during the pandemic and after is where perception changed. I mean, one is obviously from government perspective, but even from consumer perspective, right? Where I think people then started realizing, matlab paise to bahut kama liye. We made a lot of money, but if health is lost, everything's lost. So I think there was a big switch that came, during, I think more so perhaps in the second phase of the pandemic.
After the Delta.
Yeah.
I think India as a civilization has always recognized wellness and fitness as a priority. In my mind, in my understanding of Indian civilization, it is only after liberalization that maybe we started chasing wealth, which is fine, of course, as a developing country, and for security, you must. And that is why maybe during that phase, we lost our balance. But if I looked at my grandparents, they were not of that belief system, right? My grandfather, my late grandfather, even at 1991, was doing yoga every morning. He was doing some resistance training every morning, right? Nobody had told him what macronutrients were or why exercise was important, but that was the life he had always lived, right? So, and then my parents, who were maybe not as focused on fitness and health, and that is why maybe we didn't. Okay, luckily my parents were both athletes in their own way, so we led a very active life. But in generally, generally speaking, that generation wasn't, and consequently, their children, which is us, were not. Okay, so I thought we only lost it here. And then in COVID, I think we just re-recognized what we always knew, that you have 1,000 problems until you have a health problem, because then you only have one problem.
Agreed. And COVID must have been a really hard time, because even from the perspective of the business, right? You have gyms, which are, to my mind, the worst affected, because as you said, they shut down, in March 2020, opened only in November.
21.
Right? 21, right? And so we're looking at like almost
2 financial years of nothing.
What was that like? I mean, as a business for you guys, what was it like even for your stakeholders? It couldn't have been an easy time for sure.
No, it was not an easy time, especially because one was the uncertainty. You did not know, because the lockdown was never a 2-year lockdown, right? It was a 15-day lockdown, extended. So you did not know when you're going to start again and what it would look like. So we did whatever we could to support all our partners, whether it was advances, moral support, etc. Luckily, or whether it was our vision or whatever, however we say it now, because you can use any adjective when you're looking back. We had launched FitPass as a access membership to fitness centers in 2016. We'd understood nutrition is important. So 1st of January 2017, we had added a nutritionist services called Fit Feast.
Okay.
1st of January 2018, we had launched Fit Coach, which is our AI program. Nobody spoke of AI in 2018. Today, even people who make wall paint are talking about AI in their wall paint. 2018, nobody spoke about it. Luckily, so when November 2019, when this pandemic had just started and we went into lockdown, we had Fit Feast and Fit Coach, which are digital only offerings. They were available to us. Nobody else had it. Any other gym chain or whoever we know of, nobody. At that time when we had it, people were like, who will use it? And my nanny is also a nutritionist. I can see it on YouTube. Right? Or my coaching program, like, why would I do this? I can just go to the gym. Nobody valued it then. But for some reason, we had invested a lot of resource, thinking, time in doing it. And when COVID came, yes, it was very tough on the FitPass part, which was majority of our pull and attraction to customers that you can visit anywhere. But now we had this. Even then, when March 2020 lockdown happened, I don't know if you remember, a lot of telehealth companies raised a lot of money, right? And forever I had been submitting to the world that, yes, everybody can't fall sick. No, you can't be betting on the fact that everybody is going to fall sick. So when you were pumping in money to telehealth, which today we have a different story, most of them are bankrupt or have gone or have been here. How could you ever take a bet that majority of the population would fall sick and would need consultation? Right? But you made that bet. Everybody wanted to do only telehealth. Even our partners, corporates, banks, insurance companies only wanted to give doctor consultation. What did you realize 3 months after March 2020? That people who were locked down were not falling sick, right? Because they were doing 2 or 3 things. One, they were eating better, right? So either they wanted to work on their immunity or get fitter, or they wanted to educate themselves and do e-learning courses, or they were consuming a lot of OTT content, right? Travel was done, restaurants were closed. So only these 3 were there. And in this, the only player that was left was FitPass. So at that time, there was one aspect of our business which scaled. Unfortunately, the time was so difficult economically that even the customers were uncertain about their jobs, their careers. And personally, we had a lot of loss in the family, everybody around us. So we couldn't charge. So, but we knew that the time for fitness is as important as it could be.
Correct.
So we kept doing whatever we could, gratis, for free, and we went to scale that we started. Now Arya Fit Coach is at 7 lakh, 8 lakh members a month, but that time we hit 4 lakhs. Okay, 4 lakhs was a big number, right? You were talking. Today, our digital program has customers from 534 different cities. Serving 534 cities in a country is huge, right? So there are NDA aspirants, there are young brides, there are grooms to be, there are people who have insulin sensitivity across the country who are using this, right? Gyms haven't reached there, but the aspiration to be fit, to feel better is there. And we had started serving it. So suddenly we had created or accessed a market that we did not know we could have accessed. So there were these good things. But economically, financially, it was a very tough time. Personally, emotionally, it was a very tough time. And then the regulation came. So then we knew there was light at the end of the tunnel. But nobody else knew, but we knew. So that also kept us going.
Amazing. And did you, at that time, had you raised any money, or you primarily, relying on reserves and debt, or had you also let some equity in the business go?
No. So during COVID, we did not raise, but we had unending love and support from our team members, who nobody left us, everybody stayed, and we did our best to reward them in different ways once COVID opened. But during that time, I think it was just everybody's conviction on the business and the future we had. And we have not raised capital since 2018, actually. So we raised from Mumbai Angels in 16, 17, 18. And since 18, we've been PAT positive, and we've grown on the back of business and customer love.
Fantastic. And which is great to know and see, because today's story is very, very different, and everyone has a tremendous raising ability, but also burning ability, which is and hence the numbers on the balance sheet look quite sad. But I guess with your experience in financial services, as well as your sister's experience, I think you guys probably run a pretty tight ship over there.
Well, we try our best, and there was one more experience which I think so during UBS. It was a tough time for the economy, over the financial crisis. We spoke about it. There's a big gym chain called Fitness First.
Of course.
Yeah. They had £1 billion of debt at that time. £1 billion is a lot of money. And we had to restructure them. So I invested in that business at that time. And I advised BC partners, and we did a debt to equity swap. So how a gym business works, I really got to understand when I invested in that business. So there was that understanding also of what an efficient gym chain could look like, what their economics need to look like, what scale needs to look like, what their KPI should be. So it's funny that all of that came together, and then we did FitPass, which is why I said maybe it's destiny, because I'd come back to not stay. But here I am.
So, and that's very interesting, point that you just brought up there. What are some of the mistakes that, gym owners, and it could be a standalone gym, or it could be like a mega, chain as well. What are some of the mistakes that gym owners end up making, that cost them in the long term?
I don't think, let's not call them mistakes, but let's say, what are the assumptions they choose to make? Okay. We have to first recognize that a gym or any asset only serves a 2 to 3 kilometer radius. Okay. So only the population that is there is what you can attract. It doesn't matter how lovely you are, how fancy you are. The audience set is that. Population doesn't grow at the same pace, right? So next year also you'll have only those many people. And you have competition next to you. So if you're a gym, maybe there's an excellent Pilates studio, maybe there is a swimming pool, maybe there is a pickleball center. Now you need customers who, if you want money for the whole year, you have to find who? Somebody who has the ability to pay 25,000, 30,000 in one go. wants to come only to you the whole year, does one choice that they have to make the customer is a location close to home or close to office. Okay, so they must fix their location. You're the only format they will use. If they want to do swimming, they have to pay again. If they want to do pickleball, they have to pay again. Right? So you need a customer who's that convinced. So then your market size even becomes smaller. Then 97% of gym goers feel that they did not use the gym as much as they paid for. So next year, your renewals don't look as pretty. So what happens is, one, it was a small market. Then you're churning out a lot of customers. To retain them, what do? You discount, right? When you discount, what has happened is your ARPU is decreasing every year because your customers who are renewing are likely not paying you more than last year. But all your costs are increasing. Right? Your rental would have gone up. Your staff salaries would have gone up. Your machines would require more wear and tear.
Replacement.
So your ARPU is coming down. Your cost is going up. So what happens after 3 years? You flip. And this is what a lot of people didn't understand, because what they would focus on is, I get 25,000. We had to move the conversation from forget what you get. Tell me what you make. Right? What is it that you take home? Are you a 10% business? Are you a 25% margin business? Or are you a no margin business and you're only rotating capital? That JFM, you want capital to come in. Then that capital is getting deployed over the next 9 months. And then again, you want a JFM where cash.
Same cycle every year.
So if that is the condition that the gym is and fitness center is in, then you should just put your money in an FD. If you're not making money, then let us figure how that helps. And what that requires is more walk-ins, more footfall, and a different way of thinking, where I'm thinking revenue, CAC, retention, profit per user. So FitPass's promise to gyms is we give you profit per user, because all of the CAC, retention, everything we've taken away. So now you just see whether you make more from my customer when I send you a customer and I pay you for it, or you get it directly. So one is this, where the gyms, I think, get it wrong. Two is, I keep saying this, maybe it's a bit brash, but I think you've seen the airline industry. Right? It doesn't matter who you were as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, how much success you had, how much money you had, how famous you were. In the Indian airline space, only 3 airlines exist today. 11 have failed. Okay. Not one airline is a unicorn. But everybody who sells tickets of these airlines is a unicorn.
The Make My Trips and the Yatras. And
everybody, right? There's only those many airlines, those many seats. So, but everybody who's distributing it is a unicorn, right? Because there are certain dynamics to the airline industry. Right? So when you're putting in CapEx, it does your taxes, your aviation fuel, whatever it is, it doesn't matter who you are. You have to play with these dynamics. Similarly, in the gym industry, there are dynamics you have to play with. It does not matter how much money you have. Your market is capped. Your wear and tear is there. Attrition of staff. I might be the biggest chain in the country. Can I attract talent from my trainers? Will they come 15 kilometers to work here? No, they will only come from the 2 to 3 kilometer radius. So everything is so hyper local that you can't solve it at the top level. And in India, all of this is unorganized. Right? So if you really break it down, whether it's Akshay Fitness or a name you know, our AC is the same. Our trainers are the same. We all buy equipment from those 2-3 manufacturers. So what is the difference? So it is only the experience I deliver to the customer that is going to change. So you had to bring gyms to focusing on this. And I think after COVID, we also had a lot of entrepreneurs come in as first-time entrepreneurs who were genuinely passionate about delivering experiences. And these are people who cared about fitness and became entrepreneurs.
I would agree. Yeah, I've seen that. I mean, we've had friends, in fact, a couple of our friends, Rajat and Bindya was on the first episode of Let's Chat with GB. That was our first episode, and we had no studio, none of that. And Rajat, of course, has gone on to become, Mr. Olympia participant. And I, in fact, did message him, and I said, did they know of you? And he's like, of course, we know of him, but I said, we have tried it, for your gym. And they're like, no. And again, she was mentioning in the gyms in Malviya Nagar, and she's like, around our gym, there is like 5 other gyms that popped up. And sometimes, the only difference here has actually become price. And I'm like, that's just so sad. Right? How can you just say whoever's giving the best discount or, the lowest price is now attracting clients?
But that's the acquisition differentiator. That is not what drives retention, right? As a business, that is what we keep saying. You will only do well if the customer keeps coming back, right? You've discounted once, but next year, if you still have to discount, then there is a problem.
So true. And I think that's what sets them apart because of, Rajat and Bindya both like, being who they are and how they're seen in the industry and even their, their social media, profiles, etc. I think what is done is it's got a lot of people who came in and said, this place is different and they're stuck on and, hence, they've done as well.
That's the experience.
Right. 100%. Okay. So, Akshay, let's do a bit of a rapid fire. And it's just the first thing that comes to your mind, one word, one sentence, and the choice is yours. And of course, at the end of all of this, there has to be a goodie hamper. For, rapid fire. Well done.
Very kind of you.
Personal perspective, morning workout or late night grind? What is your preference?
Morning workout.
Awesome. Weights, yoga, cardio, which is your pick?
Strength, weights.
Right. One fitness myth that you wish India, could just delete forever?
Sport reduction.
A book that's changed the way you thought about either business or fitness?
Outlive by Dr. Peter Attia.
All right. I'm going to definitely put that on the read list. One app that you can't live without, apart from FitPass?
Maybe Whoop for now.
Yeah. Your productivity hack when things get chaotic?
Breathing.
If FitPass wasn't your business, what would you probably be building?
I think I'd either be a banker or in politics.
Okay. Yeah. Still time for politics. One gym etiquette rule that everyone should follow?
Wear socks and clean up after you, like wipe the handles.
So true. Yeah. Especially sweaty equipment is not good to be around. A fitness gadget that you're obsessed with right now?
Stoga, which are these foldable yoga mats and these adjustable dumbbells, which is single-handed adjustable. So Stoga.
Right. Okay. Your favorite workout music would be like Bollywood, EDM, or something else?
These workout mixes on Spotify, which people have made, which are usually more pumpy. So like depending on what BPM I'm at, so there are these playlists for 140, 160, 180 beats per minute. Oh, wow. So bass is what I'm doing.
And your favorite city to work out from and why?
I think that'll still be my village. It's in Darbhanga, Banoli. I think I had my best runs there. So 5Ks in under 20 minutes. I think it's just because it's easier to breathe. It's pretty.
Interesting. A lot of our staff is from Darbhanga, actually.
Oh, really?
I'm going to let them know. Yeah. They'll find that pretty interesting. One thing that gyms should stop doing immediately?
Stop making it dark places. Right. Let them be welcoming places which are bright and well lit.
Okay.
And more inclusive.
A flip to that, like one thing that they should start doing immediately?
Start putting ramps. They're absolutely not accessible for a lot of people.
Right. What's tougher, building a fitness habit or building a fitness company?
I think a fitness company, because you're depending on people to build a fitness habit.
Yeah. One thing that you want people to remember you for?
Impact in creating an industry. So I think why I'm say that, I'll explain it, is because fitness is not an industry and we're really fighting to get it classified as an industry.
Right.
And that will also mean that, today fitness entrepreneurs don't get a bank loan because it is not an industry. Imagine if all these gym chains, so forget the guys who are funded and there's only one person in the gym chain who's funded. Everybody else has grown, expanded based on true business, true customer love. What if they got access to capital? They could grow faster, right? And anybody who's got money today from the VCs, they're barely 1% of India's supply. 99% of India is getting fit in unorganized gyms. So if you could get them bank loans and working capital facilities, then suddenly this industry would stand and become more organized. So we're fighting to get that done so that all of them, there are CGT, SME schemes. There are so many schemes where entrepreneurs can get money, but the banks are not lending. If I could get it to be an industry, I'd suddenly unlock capital for the entire industry.
And I just think with your passion, and your persistence, I think you're definitely going to get there.
I hope so.
And again, I saw when the GST cut happened and you were very vocal on social media and came out and saying, this is something I've been championing for the longest time and it's happened. And you could see the joy and, the happiness,
thank you.
that you really were showing at the time. And I'm sure it's going to happen. All this has to definitely pay off as well.
Thank you.
Last couple of questions. One thing that you wish India understood when it came to fitness and wellness?
I think there is no blanket solution. It's everybody, just like how you are a foodie and everybody eats on their own terms. You could be a vegan, you could be a vegetarian, you could be non-vegetarian. Fitness is how you want to take care of your body and mind. Right. So depends whether you want to work out once, you want to play, you want to eat better, but it is everything on your own terms. It is one solution, and all these people who become fitness gurus trying to get you on these plans, and those are not habit builders. It is when the day you decide that you want to take care of yourself, then do whatever. So, which is why we keep saying any activity is better than zero activity. It's not a 0-100 game. Not everybody has to become Brad Pitt. Right? But everybody needs to be functional, right? And your last 2 decades of your life really depend on what you do now.
So true. 100%. And where you're going to spend those last 2 decades, right? I think, and how you're going to spend those last 2 decades. So true. And the last one, what is one quote that you live your life by?
You can only build your roof when the sun is shining. So it's only during, a lot of people feel good times are when you should enjoy. But I firmly believe that good times are when you have to really push hard, because when the bad times come, how bad it gets for you depends on how hard you worked during the good times.
And that's so deep. And I think it's not only true in the space of fitness, but it's even in the space of wealth and even just personal development. I think it's so true. So I love that. Awesome. Let's talk about the FitPass ecosystem. Now, what's in it for people who are signing up? Let's look at it first from the perspective of, which is the easy one, which is the customer. So what's in it for the customer when they come to FitPass?
So when they come to FitPass, I think they have everything that they ever need to get fit, stay well, be happy. So access to a network of gyms and fitness centers, which gives them the flexibility to go anywhere they want, close to home, close to office, and they're traveling. Access to expert nutritionists to plan their meals, to encourage them on their behavior, to work through their stress, their anxiety, their habits, health coaches, AI coaching, a content library of the world's best trainers. So if you wanted to do Zumba with Colombians who invented Zumba, or you wanted to do mixed martial arts with athletes from the UK, or kickboxing with Australian athletes, all of that is available exclusively only on the FitPass TV section. Then access to doctors, because you might fall sick and you might need consultations, mental health, access to psychologists, psychiatrists, women's health, access to health checkup vouchers for free, so that you know only what you measure can you improve. So you have your health checkup vouchers where you can track your baseline, see how you're improving, and access, in case you've fallen ill, you want to buy medicines, and free pharma delivery or free pharma vouchers. So everything that you need, and no matter where you are in your journey, right? Whether you're starting, whether you're elite, whether you're coming in and out, the flexibility of pricing, the freedom of pricing, that it's only a monthly membership. You're not getting locked in for the whole year. So putting everything in one place in a sensible ecosystem, priced well, is what the customer gets, where they have the freedom of choice. And
you spoke about Arya, and you've spoken about your the AI ecosystem that you started building way before AI was even a fashionable term. How is that being taken on? B, even when it comes to, and a lot of people are in the West are talking about this in terms of data privacy and what's really being done by data. So what are some of the things that you're doing on that side?
So first was like bringing AI to us. It was just so intuitive for us, because what was the challenge we were facing? When you go to a doctor in India, usually you'll see a board. Okay, that'll say their qualifications: MBBS, MD, UK, Cardiff, Wales, whatever. Right. And you usually go to them through a reference. So somebody who you trust has recommended them, then you go. And they're well qualified. Yet when they give you a prescription, you say, let me get a second opinion. Okay. So a qualified person came through trust, yet you want a second opinion. Same thing when you translated to fitness trainers was not how people behaved. You had no idea whether they were trained, qualified, even in basic health and safety. So if you got injured, could they handle you? They were also your nutrition advisors. Right? Just because they looked a certain way, you believed, right? But the more we understood, the more broken the system was, right? And the more opaque it was, right? Nobody checked their certificates. There was no standardization, nothing. Then we try to understand what is it that the trainer does for you, right? A trainer helps you design programs for your fitness goals. Right? Exercise karte to aap hi ho. Okay. So what is the intelligence? They assess you. And then they tell you, today your circuit, like a combination of exercises, is you do 5 jumping jacks, 6 squats, 7 push-ups. Then Akshay says, oh boss, I can't do 5 push-ups. So they give me an alternative for the same muscle group and the same body. So that is the intelligence. Then we delved into how many movements the body can do. we realized your body only moves in 130 unique ways. Okay. Your neck can only go up, down, left, right, rotate. There is no fourth movement. Your shoulders, your core, your limbs, there are only those sets of movements. Combining those movements is called an exercise. Combining exercises is called a circuit. A circuit is a workout. So if it was only a finite space, then our AI, if we built an AI module, it could make more permutations, combinations for your body focus areas, your groups that we wanted to activate that day, than a trainer could. Then we started understanding how many people have a trainer trained. Right? A very good trainer may have trained at best 1,000 people in a 20-year career. Okay. So the only intelligence they have is of 1,000 people. Okay. So how do you scale this? So if you had to bring this person who had 1,000 people experience, how would you take him to 1,000,000 people? Correct. So it had to happen through technology. So we built it because it was not as complicated as maybe it is to build GPT. Right. But because it was a finite space, we could build it and we could refine it. Phenomenal. And then came COVID. So then the data sets automatically appeared. We didn't have to convince you to use it. Right? We got to 4 lakh people using it. So we started understanding what you like, what you don't like. And the core philosophy behind building this was that we understood that people drop out of fitness if they can't finish. So if you encourage them and if you ensure that they complete the circuit, then the likelihood to continue, because what is it that we want? We want consistency. We want people to enjoy showing up, right? Because these gains are incremental and then they compound, right? So it is not to show them that, okay, you have failed. Right? So like the GRE, GMAT exam, which are adaptive, if you get the question wrong, you get a harder question. If you get it, if you get it wrong, you get an easier question. If you get it correct, then you get a harder question. Right. Similarly, our AI learns with you. If you're able to complete it tomorrow, they might give you a tougher option. If you're not, they'll give you an easier option so you don't quit. Even during the program, they'll understand the difference. So the whole idea was to keep people consistent. Yeah. So that is how we built it. For privacy, anyways, everything is individualized. So the data doesn't go anywhere, nobody.
Got it. Interesting. And is that potentially a threat to, let's say, a traditional trainer? Is there some pushback that you might be seeing from traditional trainers in the training industry saying that this is something that is not going down well with us, for example?
So organizing the trainer market is something we've always wanted to do. Like we organize the fitness center market and the players, but we have not gotten into it yet. I hope this AI, our Fit Coach, AI program actually becomes an enabler for them versus competition, because the way we have to think of it is what helps the customer at the end of it. Right. So the knowledge and of who knows how Indian bodies work more than we do now, and who knows what Indian preferences are more than we do now. Yeah. So it might be that you are very qualified and very passionate as a trainer, but the knowledge set you have may be slightly lesser than what we have. Yeah. So how we work together would be what unlocks a whole ecosystem.
I like that. So like what you're saying is Arya and the AI piece actually becomes an amplifier.
Yes.
Right? And back with data, there is a lot of science behind decisions that could be otherwise a little off. I like that. Yeah. Globally, is there any comparison that FitPass has?
Yes.
There is? Okay.
Yes, there's 2 players, both unicorns. One is called GymPass and one is called ClassPass. GymPass is now rebranded as WellHub, but yeah, they're both there in the US. And it's really funny. The West is an aging population where fitness is not growing as fast because it's a mature market. Right. We're the youngest population, we're the fastest growing market, but the unicorns are there. So they will come.
I'm sure. And I think the way you positioned yourself, would you potentially look at letting some stake go, having a JV of some sort, or is it too premature to be talking about that?
No, it's not premature because these are conversations we've had several times. And I think there are various plays, right? I think, one is the Indian VC market, which I think in general is, there may be only 18, 19 players. Right? It's not as liquid a market as what the US is 4,000 VCs, right?
And probably in just the Menlo Park area of San Francisco, there'll probably be more than you have in India. For sure.
And I don't know if it's too brash to say, but I think the VCs in India got it wrong for fitness. Okay. Usually the VC playbook or any investor playbook should be, let the consumer decide. You tell me any industry where the VCs only backed one player. It doesn't happen. Even if it is food, Zomato, Swiggy, Fasos, a lot of people were backed,
Right.
even if it is, I don't know, any e-commerce or whatever. Many players are backed, consume and relentless execution, iteration, then consumer love. That is when the winners appear,
Right.
and then they become big winners.
Right.
But there is never one. Nobody comes and says, "I know best and I will only back one player."
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in fitness, the VCs pre-decided that one person will win. And there they made a mistake in why the industry didn't grow as fast as it could have.
Right.
If you had multiple players battling, executing, and getting it right. So today, when you ask me how many of my competitors exist, none. That's not. Even if we are first, you're only first if there's a second. If there's no second,
no
then
one else.
yeah. So then, so you actually wanted many people
Right.
to compete.
Yeah.
Then everybody would refine and become more pointed. That is how an industry grows.
True that. And I think you're right. I think a lot of times when these conversations start with VCs and even private equity funds, they're like, what's the benchmark in your market? And like you said, there is none. Like it's just you guys there right now, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, but you would be open to a conversation like that if it were.
Yeah, 100%. I think so. We'd be so the two. So why I was telling you that was because they maybe got it wrong with some of the domestic mobility players and e-commerce players also, because it was only when Amazon decided to come to India and suddenly Flipkart had a revamp, right? And a lot of domestic capital went there. Ola was struggling, Uber said we're coming, and then suddenly Ola became where they are today. So many things could happen if these guys decide somehow Indian capital, domestic capital might flow towards us and we decide to compete. Or in my mind, nobody can. India is not a capital game at all. You're an unorganized market. You need to build trust, right? Everybody who owns a gym has also put 2-3 crores investments, right? So they're not people who are desperate for business or who don't know how to run business or have no acumen, right? They're people who can be very patient. So if you come with a lot of capital, which some players have done, they came with a lot of capital, and you're in a rush to grow. So what does the other side do? They charge you exorbitant rates. So your unit economics doesn't work. You burn and you're out of business. So it has to be patiently built. So it doesn't matter who comes in with how much capital they come. I think we'll be a very formidable force to reckon with.
Of course. And I think just, like you said, what you've built over the years, your passion, your commitment, what you stand for, with policy and people will see these things and they realize that this is more than, just like a capitalist trying to make money, off an opportunity that the market presents.
I always wanted that when I die, I get wrapped in the Indian flag. So I hope we create so much impact that we get there.
I'm 100% certain that, the direction they're heading, and it just opens up, a whole different world of opportunity and more.
No, thanks.
What's in it for the gym owner? Why are they coming to you in such large numbers?
I think multiple factors. One is that gym owners can now just focus on delivering a fitness experience versus having to worry about how to acquire the customer, how to retain the customer, where to price it, all of that. Suddenly we've taken all of that pain away. So imagine you're on Amazon and you only have to sell, right? How the customers come on the platform, how they see you, that is not the problem. So discovery is solved, customer inflow is solved, plus we pay them. We don't charge them anything to be on the platform. So there is no cost to them, only profit. So the only thing they need to understand is if they know what profit they make per user, FitPass will likely pay more than what they already make. So suddenly the FitPass customer becomes a more viable option for them. So one is that. Second is as they expand, everyone needs consistency. They need predictability, because when you're new, when you're setting up in the first 12, 18 months, you don't know how many members you get. But if you're on the FitPass platform, you know from day zero that there is a predictable number that will come.
Fantastic.
So that helps them as they plan their scale and they plan their next moves.
And broadly, are you comfortable sharing what the unit economics look like? Like what's in it, for them from that perspective?
So on the retail side, we roughly make 5 to 7% margin. Everything else goes to the gyms. And just like if you understand insurance, then there is something called a TPA. Or the insurance company themselves, they negotiate different rates with hospitals. So the same treatment may have, if I'm getting a stent in my artery, then it may have a different rate at A hospital, might be different in B hospital, depending on how many beds they had, where location, lots of things go into that. Similarly, we have diverse pricing with our network partners.
Right.
So just because you're doing a workout doesn't mean that the payout for FitPass remains the same. It could be different. A yoga class could be very different to a Pilates class, to a strength class, or just somebody who went and ran on the treadmill could be different.
Right.
So the way we think of our business is that we have lots of raw materials that we bring.
Right.
Everything is brought in a certain way,
Yeah.
basis what we see trends in usage are, etc. And then we bundle it and make it affordable for the customer.
Amazing. The amount of work that goes on behind the scenes is phenomenal as well, right? Like just to figure out, like you said, even what would be the subscription for a yoga studio versus, let's say a pickleball, court, or, even a gym. I mean, just the amount of work being done behind the scenes would be crazy.
I think the most work was done to educate and sensitize owners.
Right.
So if I'm very frank, then a lot of owners were sitting on vanity numbers. I invested 2 crores.
Yeah.
I invested 3 crores to build it. I paid 10 lakhs a month rent.
Right.
Those are posturing numbers.
Yeah.
We had to get them to trust us enough to come from that position to saying, okay, actually, this is my bottom line.
Right.
Then we wanted them to divide the bottom line by the number of customers they had and come to profit per user. Because for us, we're a monthly program and we have so many people, right?
Right.
They were in the view of only locking one person for the whole year. We were saying just open the market. Anybody who works close to you should also be able to come. Who lives close to you should also be able to come. Somebody who you lost last year should also be able to come. Somebody who wants to just see what you offer should also be able to come. Open the market, whether it's a student, a homemaker, everything. Just let everybody come. Okay. So we had to get them to this. Today, the industry knows. If they know their profit per user number, all they have to do is call FitPass, tell them this is my number. If it works for us, great. Otherwise, we sit together. But we essentially, the way we work is whatever your profit per user is, we will pay you that for sure. So there's no difference between if you went through the hassle of finding your customer, calling them, converting them, ensuring they pay you, or we send you hundreds of them.
Yeah. I think that's amazing, that the fact that you go from, profit per customer. So let's say, and we spoke about, Ozone as a gym, which was, on this side of, Defense Colony. And then, of course, on the other side, you have Lajpat Nagar, which is primarily a cheaper area. And there's a basement, Lajpat Nagar. Obviously, their eagerness and enthusiasm to be on a platform like this, might not be the same. But once you put it in the perspective that you did, I think that brings
So this is a very good concern, because a lot of gyms used to have it, and where they would be like, what are the kind of people you might bring, or will they fit at our gyms? And this also came from a mindset that I had invested so much, or I pay so much rent. But in reality, so the same people going to the restaurant, so same people going for PVR sitting next to you, same people sitting next to you on the flight, right? That is who we are.
So true.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you're not going to be inclusive, it is going to be tough. It is okay to posture,
right?
But you also have to, if you want to build a business, you have to welcome all the customers. And the younger they are, they will evolve, they will grow, right?
Yeah.
You can't judge a book by its cover. You can't say that, okay, today my child is in class 1. So will they become successful? I don't know, right? But you have to give them the right way. So if you get the 22-year-old now, 23-year-old now, 25-year-old now, they're not the 40-year-old who you have who pays you a lakh a year.
Correct.
Right. I'll give you an example. There's a gym called Fitness First in India also, right? They had 7 centers.
Right.
We had them in our network. They were 80,000 rupees a center even back in 2017.
Correct.
Right. We used to pay them, I think, 150 or 175 rupees a workout. Okay, which is very high at that time because my membership was 999. Right. So average we wanted to be 100 rupees a workout, but this was 175.
Yeah.
But the fact that we were able to get them to 175 per workout was them understanding that, okay, while we charge 80,000, we pay Select City Walk an X amount of rent, our electricity cost is X, Y, Z. And then finally what we make from our customer is this much. So if FitPass sends, because I remember one of the people had told us that, guys, we only want customers who wear Ralph Lauren, and you sell to customers who buy Zara. Okay.
Yeah.
And we had to explain to them that only the Zara guys will then go on to buy Ralph Lauren. Correct. So obviously we command a younger audience.
This must be a North Indian thing, because we always kind of say, "Auqaat nahi hai," but we always say treat everyone like a millionaire, because you never know, where they are today and who they're going to become, and in due course, they'll be champions for your cause.
One is that, or if you want to be exclusive, then fine, be exclusive. Then don't worry about your business working or not working. Correct. So either then you build it, but if you're building it like a chain, and you want to be welcoming, then you have to allow all the society to come.
So true.
And of course, they should follow etiquette, which we also do. Spend a lot of time in explaining to beginners and everybody what gym etiquette looks like. You asked me about it also, and what clothing is appropriate, what behavior is appropriate. Of course, there might be some incidents where people are waking up to it. Right? This happens in our flights also. People still get up when the seatbelt sign is on. You have to educate. So you are in a nascent setup. So these things will happen, but doesn't mean that you're not inclusive as
isolating and complete audio, like a future audience that could be great. I love it. Yeah, and I think it's amazing. I mean, truly a win-win, both from the perspective of, the customer and the gym. What's in it for FitPass? Like, what is the longer term play for you guys?
So number one, we're really different from the asset owners. Like I've given you the airline industry example. Typically, the asset owner makes money when you don't use it, right? You pay and then you don't show up. We only make money if you show up. If you don't work out, then you won't renew me the next month.
Correct.
And if I've got my pricing wrong, the only way I can improve my pricing is if the gyms, I'm giving them so much volume that they're okay to reduce pricing, because I'm under pressure on both sides, right? The consumer always wants lower price. The gyms always want a higher price. So the only way I can make it work is if a lot of people use me a lot of days in the month. So one way we're different to everybody is that we have to encourage people to use and we have to get them to use. So what is in it for us in the long term? I think we will definitively change behavior in the country in the next decade. I think from here, where we had to fight for mind share, now our goal is going to be how much of the behavior set we command. As a business, our core work is to help the ecosystem shape up. So that means assets, trainers, nutrition, all of that, which we're doing. Now we've launched a new brand called Stoga, which is these thoughtfully crafted, precision engineered home equipment, modular. They adapt. One dumbbell becomes a barbell and a kettlebell, yoga mat that folds into your laptop bag, exquisite material, baby safe, hypoallergenic. Why? Because Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 homes are beautiful, and the willingness to work out is there, whether it's a homemaker, whether it is a busy professional, whether it is a student. But you can't build a home gym because the spaces are not like that. Although Tier 2 has big spaces, and you want aesthetically designed, beautiful, crafted equipment. So that we've come out with. This also has an accessory and support line, which helps our core business, which is the gyms monetize their asset. At the core of it, FitPass has to help assets. One is by sending people. Two is by helping them monetize. So can we set up an in-store with them? We're also launching a nutrition brand called BFF. BFF stands for Best for Fitness. Now, imagine a gym. We have 8,000. If we help them, enable them to become a points of sale, and even if we get to 1,000 in a year, that's 1,000 stores we have. Right? So not only is the gym monetizing the same asset, but suddenly we are distributing it. For anyone to go into market and get 1,000 stores is a very, very difficult proposition. But we can build that because we already have a community and we have our partners.
Great. And I think community is so powerful, right? And once you've got people who've trusted you over time and you introduce something new to them, they'll 100% give it a shot. And of course, once they like it, they're definitely adapting to it. And you're right, because in the supplement space, that's one area. And again, going back to, when I was in college and we're talking about 25 years or more, there was, so much, it was a question mark, what's really in there. And funnily, even today, it hasn't changed. There's just such a question mark in terms of, what's in those supplements. Is it good for you? What is, creatine going to do? Or, is the way, what's the source, etc. So I love how you're saying that, okay, you have now, you can call it a backward integration, a forward integration. You're creating even a larger ecosystem. I think that's phenomenal. So I think IPO to one there, right? There's going to be a main board IPO in a few years for sure.
Main board, definitely. I think, we internally keep thinking maybe 28, 29, but maybe 28. But yes, I think we have, even today, bankers come to us and try to convince us that we should go now. But I think there is so much work to be done yet. That the flexibility we have as a private limited company also has some advantages to it. And I think we're in that phase where like I said, you can only build your roof when the sun is shining. So right now we have a lot of tailwinds, right? Regulatory framework is in our favor, national narrative is in our favor,
Right.
awareness is growing, demand, there is no question of latent demand. So there's a lot we can do to convert that latent demand into active purchase.
Very true.
So I think if we focus on all of that, then IPO and all of that will be natural outcomes of the process.
Agreed. Yeah, and it does make a lot of sense. The retail investor today is very open to putting his money behind an idea which sounds good on paper, even if they're not making money, and you're seeing the appetite for risk on that side. And here it's a no-brainer, because what I've seen in this conversation and heard in this conversation is the fact that here is someone who truly cares. There is, and you did not once say you talk about the money when I asked what's in it for you. You spoke about the narrative, which is about the policy and improvement of industry and empowerment and bringing in all of that. I think which is great. I wish more people would say that first before they say "Haji paisa milega," and all of that. So I think that's really, really good to see. And I think, who knows? Like you said, some of the big global players, if they have an area where they feel that an aging population, like you mentioned, India just is a logical, expansion and extension to what they do. And who knows tomorrow? I mean, if you guys want to go global, maybe you guys are buying out FitPass.
I really wanted to say that to you because I think the way the thesis works is today fitness and FitPass is important because India is young, right? What Gym Pass and Class Pass are showing us in the West is that when you get old, you're equally important, right? So as India ages, and we talk about quality of life and health span, and it is no longer about how many years you live, but how well you live them. Fitness and nutrition are going to continually be important. So maybe when we'll die, this will be a generational legacy that's set.
Agreed.
And then America and Europe are not going to get younger. So you're right. Maybe it'll be FitPass who becomes the global player because we started young with a young population and we have a longer way to go. So maybe it's slower to journey, but
Love it. Let's take a look at a couple of more, scenarios before we wrap up. We obviously have, the retail customer, the customer who's walking into the gym. He's coming to your app, he's seeing, your stuff on social media, maybe word of mouth, etc. So the retail customer. What's happening in the space of the B2B customer, where you're going into a corporate? Let's say you go into, a Genpact or Accenture and say, okay, you have 150,000 employees, and we'd like to offer this, to you. So, A, what is the acceptance, and B, is there a greater focus towards that as well?
Okay, so let me give you the pre-COVID and the post-COVID.
Sure.
Pre-COVID, fitness was a perk. Right? It was a tick mark.
Right.
Whether we had a webinar also didn't exist, like whether they had a seminar or whether they had a session.
Correct.
Then post-COVID, people started understanding great resignation came, great attrition came, burnout became a common word. WHO released a report saying that the primary cause of burnout is chronic inactivity. 87% millennials were reporting it. 87% millennials mean in India, millennials are the backbone of corporate India and society, right? So either they're the primary earners, parents have retired, young kids, current leadership, which is going to transition into CXOs in the next 2, 3, 4 years. So that's the millennial group. The corporate started understanding that India is one economy that went from agrarian, like primary, to tertiary. Right? We didn't have an industrial revolution, right?
Sure.
So services. But somehow some CA, whenever we did our accounting, we said assets go on the balance sheet. Employee is a cost. So every time we thought of employee, we thought of it as a cost.
Right.
But you realize that in your tertiary, our major GDP is tertiary. Right? Services. Only asset you have is your employee.
Right.
So if you don't treat them as an asset, for an asset, what do? You buy insurance. You give it fitness checks. You have engineers to make sure that it runs well. It is optimized. You give it downtime. You don't do any of that for your stuff. So that conversation started. We started really provoking these conversations that, everything corporate India says is wellness is incorrect. Because when they say financial wellness, they mean if my employee has 100 rupees in their pocket, how do we get them to 150 through discipline, through awareness, information, education? We don't want them to go bankrupt and say, oh, I'll try and get you back to 100. But for health, they only had things that are triggered after illness. Health insurance. I need to get hospitalized to
get that benefit.
Okay. Doctor consultations. I need to fall ill. Health checkup. I'll do it once to know, but I will not do it again unless I'm ill. Medicine reimbursement. I have to fall ill. But as a corporate, you told me I only fall ill 15 days a year. because you only give me sick day allowance for 15 days. 16th day, you expect me not to fall ill. So all your benefits, so-called wellness benefits, one, need me to fall ill. Then you'll hope that you'll bring me back to 100.
Yep.
So you're treating me.
Yep.
You're not making me well. You're not making me better from where I am like you would in any other plan.
True.
And then it's all focused on 15 days. So we started saying this. Then the narrative changed. So today, the acceptance is phenomenal.
Right.
Also, I think the corporates have understood that you can't be prescriptive. One, the decision makers are of a certain age with a lot of personal biases. But the pyramid is like this. Majority of the population, like in India, is below 35. They are not ill.
Yeah.
They are not sick. Insurance, etc., is not a perk for them or a reality for them, right? 2/3 of India doesn't buy insurance. You're given it through your corporate. That's
Correct.
different. But you don't necessarily think that a 10 lakh coverage is important for you. You might be okay with a 2 lakh coverage. And you're force-fitted that because the 50-year-old decision maker might think it is important for them. So are these guys are they participating in the decision making of wellness policies or not? So we started provoking those conversations, did a lot of events. Today, I think that narrative has changed, where the flex wallets exist. And we see that 77% or more of the flex wallet actually goes towards fitness and nutrition. So you said Accenture, they're a very large partner to us. And they have about 330,000 employees. And FitPass is their biggest wellness partner. And now we can say it's truly wellness. And similarly with a lot of these other players. So yes, demand has changed, but it is still not as penetrated as it is in the West, especially now when India has insurance covering it.
Right.
Yet I think a lot of corporates don't know that when they procure their group Mediclaim policies, GMCs, they could have just asked for it. So that awareness is not there. So I think there's still a long way to go. And this industry, the employees, the more they get empowered, they understand. And now we've released a lot of studies. So attrition was a problem. So one of the CFOs, they explained to us that, every time we used to pitch to people, this like, what is the ROI? Right? So you can't guarantee an ROI with a program like this. Right? Somehow when they invest in an asset, they're like, oh, it'll take 3 years to break even. They have a 3-year patient horizon. But on the employee side, there is no patience. It is not an investment, right? It is a cost. So they want, that is no matter how much we want them to change, but that is the nature today. Hopefully it will change. So we have to find ROIs. We can't guarantee health outcomes within 6 months, right? It takes 12 months, 18 months for them to start showing that your health expenditure is lowering, your incident rates are lowering, your productivity is increasing, sick days are reducing, absenteeism. All of that has been done in a Harvard study in the US. Okay. But here we didn't have data sets. So one CFO explained to us that, attrition is a huge problem. If your program costs X, now to replace, say, a senior manager, if their salary is 15 lakh rupees, it cost me about 30 to 45 lakhs. Okay. So if your program cost me 3 crores, and if you help 10 people not leave, then so then we did an attrition study, and we realized that simply if your corporate was offering FitPass, attrition levels fell by 14%. If more than 23% population was enrolled and using at least only twice a month, okay, 42% reduction. So suddenly we had a new parameter to show ROI. Although that is not the best way of looking at this program. The program should be looked at in a longer term and health and fitness and productivity.
But there's a CFO who's signing the checks. He probably wanted to see this.
So why I wanted to say this was because this is how, when people get involved, then you have these conversations, then people find ways of justifying, because everybody has to finally answer to boards or whatever, and they need budgets. Budget is an important thing. So one was this way. So we've come up with various ways of how now people justify. So the point I'm trying to make is that people are now looking to fit it, and they're looking for ways to answer tough questions internally also. But yes, I think personal bias in CHROs is a big blocker. If they don't personally believe it, and for some reason not everybody runs a participative decision-making process.
Yeah, and I think it's commentary that's, as you mentioned, it started to change after the pandemic, and it'll require more education, it'll require more conversation. And I think you should probably be on forums, when there are events like when Shram is having, their conference, or when GPW is doing their conference, because that's where all the CHROs are. And we obviously, as a company that works with a lot of these guys, end up showing up a lot at those conferences as well. But it's a process, and I'm sure you get that, and the intent, is definitely there. So it'll happen.
Yeah, for sure. No, even today we do about 1.7 million corporate employees who are active through us.
Right, and I think what you'll find is that once you have one player in the industry who picks it up, like you mentioned, Accenture, it's very likely that many more are going to follow. And once it happens,
Yeah,
in IoT,
we have a bunch like this.
Yeah.
KPMG, there
Right.
is many others. Yeah,
yeah, for
Air
sure.
India, SBI, lots of people.
Correct. And in due course, it'll probably make its way down to manufacturing sector, where you probably
Yeah.
have a Maruti, which will say, okay, at the factory we've got
Yeah.
these many thousand employees.
Hopefully, no,
and we'd like
Maruti's
to
been
send
talking
them
to us
out.
for 2-3 years now.
Nice. I think again, only a matter of time.
Yeah, I hope so.
But super, like I said, really enjoyed this conversation. I think we got into a lot of elements which I hadn't seen you or heard you speak at
Yeah.
other forums. So thank you for opening up
No.
on and being so transparent on so many of these things.
No, thank you for being so patient and so inviting that I did share a lot more than I usually would.
No, pleasure. And again, like I said, wishing you all the best. And I have no doubt in my mind that you are headed towards bigger, greater things. Of course, whatever you achieve here is there, and I think it's going to lead to bigger stuff. And like you mentioned, even in due course to play a bigger role in policy. I think that's probably going to happen. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see you soon running as a member for our legislative assembly and even parliament from Darbhanga and your hometown. It could happen. I think that's something that we could all benefit immensely and greatly from as well.
Thank you very much.
And of course, I did mention to you that we did have a goodie hamper and a goodie bag for you. So just certain products, things I want to actually give you. So this is
This is very kind of you. We will also send you something with a Stoga hamper.
So this is actually part of the Shantanu Nickel collection. So that's
very cool.
a
Thank
pen
you so
from,
much.
the Shantanu Nickel collection.
Is that the one that's in your pocket?
No, that is from another brand. But yeah, I would carry that in my pocket a lot in the past as well.
Very fancy.
And,
Thank you.
Of course, also have a tie from the Shantanu Nickel collection.
Thank you
that's
so
something
much.
to you as well.
Thank you so much.
As a souvenir for being on the Let's Chat with GB podcast. So that's an instant mug for you with our logo. Just,
I had been eyeing that. I had been eyeing that.
Yes, you have that as well. And of course, so that's for you.
Thank you very, very much.
And it's something that
So much. How much will I carry?
I think that's a lot. We have a bag for you to take it in as well. And this is, of course, one of the products that I've created during the pandemic, and it's something that I was very passionate about. So that's the Scaling with GB Gold Planner, and it's very cool when it comes to even your fitness goals, and your financial goals, and everything else. So I'm going to sign that for you and have that come your way as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah, this is wonderful, and this is a lot. A great time and great gifts. Thank you.
And again, thank you so much for coming and sharing and all those insights. And looking forward to staying in touch and connected. And I did recall some of the other things that you mentioned, where you said sitting is the new smoking.
Yes,
I think that was like a big takeaway for me in the past as well. And of course, a lot of great insights today. So
thank you.
Wishing you all the best, and I'm sure FitPass is going to truly just scale, go 10x and beyond, and hopefully make a global impact soon too.
Thank you very much.
That's it. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Yep.